Well, it wasn't very long ago when our state found ourselves at the top of every list that you'd rather be at the bottom of. And we're at the bottom of every list that you'd want to be at the top of. But now, Michigan is back. And the people in this room, the businesses, the educators, have been such an integral and central part of the progress that has been made. So each of you, thank you for your part in it. And it is really an honor to be with you today. As I look back, it's hard to believe it's been 6 years since taking office. And at that time, many Michigan families were understandably concerned about the future. They had good reason. But that's not who we are. It's not where we come from. It's not what Michiganders are about. Michigan has always been about winning. So when we took office, our people needed some wins and fast. We had just come out of the lost decade. We had staggering unemployment, declining income, record foreclosures. A whole generation of kids had to go someplace else to find opportunity. And if we're not creating a world where our kids can be successful, all other efforts are going to fall short. It's a lot for any administration to take on. But we know that investing in our people is the best way to bring winning back to Michigan. In the last 6 years, there has been about 500,000 new jobs added. The unemployment rate has been cut in half. Today, our labor force is actually growing, and our kids are finding opportunity. That's what winning looks like. But with that growth comes challenges. To take advantage of the economic opportunities before us, we have to be agile and effective at connecting people with the skills that they need to be competitive in a 21st century global economy. Those who anticipate the future do well, but those who drive the future own it. So how can we put our kids in the best possible position to own a future without limits? That's the attitude and approach that we need to have in our state moving forward. Just because we've made huge strides in getting our economy back on track doesn't mean that we're done, because there is so much more opportunity to be realized, as you've been hearing about time and time again today. But all of that opportunity, it's about our people. So we need an education system that prepares kids for the real world, not just taking tests. We need to prepare them for life. We need to prepare them to thrive in a globally competitive environment. We need to give them the kind of support that allows them to have big dreams and go out and chase them, no matter what obstacles are in their way or what zip code that they live in. We need more innovation and personalization in education. It cannot be a one-size-fits-all. Four-year university after high school is not the only answer. We need skilled trades too. Thankfully, the world is starting to realize that there are many educational pathways to creating a bright future. Skilled trades were stigmatized as something lesser, like it was something that the kids who couldn't make it in the classroom would do. But today we know that nothing could be further from the truth. The demand is huge, and so is the opportunity. I was in a town just north of Grand Rapids not long ago, and I met this young man who was making pizzas for a living maybe 3 years ago. And every day on his way to work, he would drive past this construction site. And he saw this house, the foundation and basement. He saw the framing in. And every day he'd see more of the house built. And he wondered, how can I be a part of something like that. It looks like such an awesome thing to do with your life. And one day something was different. He decided he would stop his vehicle and get out of the car and walk up to the site and just ask, how do I get involved in this? How do I get to a place where I can be in the construction industry? And the foreman said, if you have the ambition to get out of your car and come up here and ask me this question, I just want to know, when can you start? So he took the job, and they taught him to be a carpenter in terms of roughing and framing work. But he was really good at getting things exactly right. And so then he moved over to finished carpentry. I got news for you, folks. If you are really good at finished carpentry, you can charge whatever you want and people will pay it, because it's in that high of demand. And so wouldn't it be awesome if it didn't happen, it didn't have to be the coincidence of this site being on his route to work, but instead just be something that he was exposed to as part of the process of growing up and being educated. But we have to be careful that we don't let the pendulum swing too far. I just turned 40. So I'm old enough to remember a time when college and university education was not very valued. And that was a problem. But now it's gotten to the point where it's presented as the only pathway to success. But whether we're talking about information technology or engineering, healthcare, and construction, there are so many different aspects of these professions that require varying types and lengths of post-high school education and preparedness. And here's the thing. Contractors need accountants. And accountants need plumbers. The point is, the needs of the economy are vast, and with every need, there is an opportunity for someone to have a career. But creating the best possible future is more than just helping most people. We need to be the kind of state where everyone has a chance to thrive. Now, as many of you know, particularly if you've been to this event in the past, I have a daughter with autism. We knew something was different when she was younger. She's 10 now, and even just 10 years ago, awareness about what autism was at a very different place. So we didn't know exactly what was going on. Even her pediatrician didn't know, and other experts like my mother. One day I was in the legislature and I was listening to testimony, and this young man was describing what autism was. He had autism himself. And what he described sounded just like my daughter. I have learned so much since then. I could not be more proud of who she is and how she's growing. But it helped me to realize that some people need just a little extra help and education to live an independent life with a family and a career. I've learned a lot on this journey, and I want to use that experience to help everybody live a better life. And in the course of the last few years, we've seen things start to happen, some really exciting things. Behavior practices in school, on both sides of the equation, banning restraint and seclusion practices in non-emergency situations, and implementing and spreading across our state positive behavior interventions and supports. Here in Lansing school districts, when they went school-wide with positive behavior interventions and supports, they saw their suspensions reduced by 40%, which accounted for 3,000 additional days of instruction for those students. It's not behavior or academics. Behavior is academics. We've seen the Autism Navigator come online. assisted outpatient treatment more accessible because of an update in Kevin's Law. We've seen expanded treatment courts and the My Hidden Talent Tour, which will be right here, by the way, on May 8th, and I want to invite you to come to that. You can register at myhiddentalent.org. This is where we show employers how they can be more effective in hiring people and employing people with disabilities, not out of charity, but because there are people with amazing abilities and talents that are just getting overlooked today. So today, can we just decide we're going to take on the hardest challenges, and we'll imagine a Michigan without limits, one where addiction is treated and not just incarcerated, one where mental illness doesn't come with the barrier and the weight of stigma, where people with disabilities are no longer defined according to their areas of struggle or by their can'ts, but instead by their cans and by their potential and by their strength. Build an education system that's preparing kids for all the opportunities that are available to them in the real world, not just getting ready to take a test. And to do that, I think we need to build a government that isn't a shouting contest, but instead a competition for ideas. So if we want to extend our winning streak, growing the economy and jobs has to be our top priority. But the only way we can do that is if we have the best education system. So we need to continue to promote and invest in skilled trades to put more Michiganders back to work while still supporting our universities and the other post-high school education tracks. I've been around the state and around the country and around the world making the case for Michigan, and more often than not, I can tell you that we win deals based on the strength of our talent pool. Michigan is winning again, and with your help, I know we can keep the winning streak alive. Speaking of winning, there's this school down the street, and it wasn't very long ago when those of us who were the faithful would be discouraged on the front end of the season. But when Coach Izzo took charge of that basketball team, we saw a different level of enthusiasm and leadership, and teamwork, and getting the maximum potential out of people. And confidence started growing, and wins started racking up. And it's almost a curse now for him, because now, like every year, it's like if you don't get to the Final Four, somehow it's a big disappointment. But that's the type of winning attitude and winning spirit that is at Michigan State today. When I look at leadership, the kind of person who knows how to get the maximum out of people, how to get people to work together in order to have the best possible outcomes. That's Coach Izzo. And I will say, when he mentioned just a little while ago to me that he'd never been through a tour at the Capitol, so I said, come on over, I'll give you a tour, and we did. And we could hardly get anywhere because everybody wanted a picture with Coach Izzo. And this is how it usually went down. They would hand me their phone and say, hey, could I get a picture, could you take a picture of me and Coach Izzo?